Hey everyone, my name is Luis. You can call me by my admin tag M, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Up Your Geek podcast, where we're going to talk about various things, I hope. And here today are 3 fellow admins and friends, John, Lamar, and David. John?
Hey guys, John, or you can call me by my admin tag, the Aussie Assassin.
Alright, this is Lamar here, Mr. Cain.
This is David. You may call me either the Wonder King or the Equalizer.
Okay, we are together, and first topic we're going to discuss is Supergirl. It came out last month, recently, and I've only seen the first 2 episodes actually. But from what I've seen, I like it, alright? There's only 3 little things I would complain about, but it's not really much. You know, I enjoy it. I need to see the 3rd episode. I really do. But from what I've seen a lot, I do not miss the show, The Flash, on TV. That episode was, Enter Zoom, that was awesome. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in the next episode. How Barry's gonna be able to run again. What do you guys think about the show?
I personally, I love it. I do have a few little minor nitpicks here and there, but I do love it. Is it as good as some of the other DC shows? No, but it's better than some of the old crappy ones.
Are you referring to the Supergirl?
Yeah. But as Luis said, that episode of The Flash Enter Zoom, holy shit. That episode was just brutal.
It's a what?
Zoom. It's dangerous. So what do you guys think of the rumor that it may be John Wesley's ship?
I think it would be anything's possible nowadays.
You know what? Yeah. But it really, he has the same eyes, and it does look like him through the. I was kind of curious about that because they're doing the 2 Earths, and I was kind of curious. He left like in that part of the show where they got him out of prison, but now I'm looking at that photograph. Those are like his facial features, like where his eyes and those little creases and everything, in the same color eyes.
Yeah, it is. And I think,
don't know.
And as most of you guys know, I'm not really big on fan theories, but this is probably one of the fan theories that I actually think is true. That's all I have to say about the subject matter. So, but
yeah, they have. I think that they have all the possibilities of changing the theory, since...
Yeah. I do think it could be John Wesley's ship, or it could be Eddie Thawne. Those 2.
It's possible.
Possibly.
It is possible. I guess they could have that, the actor come back. He is currently on that show Quantico as a main star.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm not sure if, how
likely.
A twist! Yeah. Shyamalan.
Let me see here. But, so how do you fare with Supergirl, actually? What are some of your opinions?
Oh, I'm actually loving the show so far, to be honest. I mean, it's great. I mean, Melissa Benoist is doing a fantastic job. What else? The suit looks beautiful. Some of the stories are pretty good. But the one thing that I like, one of the main things I love about the show is the Easter eggs, like a lot of the references to the DC universe, like especially in the first episode, how they reference how they paid homage to Supergirl creator Otto Binder when they named the bridge after him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty much good. It's just like the only gripe I can really say about the show is that, what would I say, is that, well, for one, it's like somebody had pointed this out a few days ago, that how was it that Superman was never able to beat Reactron, but yet Supergirl did. And another thing is that, I mean, I kind of wish that they show Superman in this show. Like I mean, I know the show's about Supergirl, but I think it's good, like, if they actually showed him more, like in person, instead of like little subtle nods to him, or like when Supergirl blacked out. So, but for
I
the
don't
most
know
part,
if they'll even do that.
But for the most part, I'm really loving the show. Like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Andrew Kreisberg and Greg Berlanti, as you guys know. I mean, these guys are good showrunners and executive producers. I mean, they've given us really good shows in the past. I mean, they've given us Arrow, The Flash. They're about to give it now Supergirl, now Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, but pretty much it's a great show. I definitely give it a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend it to like anyone who's a fan of DC Comics, or if they want to see a show about of a female superhero, you know, a female character.
Yeah, there are like 3 little things that I'm nitpicking on.
Mm-hmm.
I did write them down actually. Oh yeah, I know them. Number 1, I really cringed on the first episode when they said Kryptonese.
Yeah.
Like, I think I know it's comic, like the old ones, but I mean in Smallville they said, you know, Kryptonian or something. This is the first time I'm hearing it, and it really doesn't.
That does sound kind of stupid. The Kryptonese. I mean, I wish they could have come up with a better name like that.
Or just call it Kryptonian or something.
I don't know why. Yeah, that was strange too that they called it that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Kryptonese.
And she said it like fluent, like it wasn't like, oh, this is what they call it because they don't know what it's called. It's like, this is what they're calling it because that's what it is.
Yeah.
No, that was. I was like, oh man, why are they gonna do that?
The second thing is how they don't really reference, you know, like in the first episode, like it's not an S. On my world, it means something. They didn't like. They could have at least said it used to mean hope, you know, or like a little Man of Steel reference.
Oh, it's my home world's coat of arms.
Yeah, like it used to mean hope, but now it doesn't. You know.
Yeah, that kind of did sound corny. It almost felt like I was watching an episode of Game of Thrones when she said that. Because you know that's how they reference their flags, or like the coat of arms, like the sigil. Kind of felt like I was watching an episode of Game of Thrones when she said that.
Yeah, I mean they could have had the opportunity to say, you know, reference Man of Steel in that aspect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they referenced it enough. I mean, Man of Steel, but they had that chance to do it, and they blew it. The third thing is how I just feel that Supergirl has like this. What the hell? Oh, like feminist, like, you know, how a girl like has to do more work than a guy to get noticed or something. And girls, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay. Like, it's not really that necessary, but they're throwing it, like, in your face.
Yeah, you're gonna always have people doing that.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately the way those things work.
No?
You're gonna have people always talking about it. I have a question. And so, what was your third thing, Luis? What was?
That's the third thing.
Oh, okay.
The Kryptonese, Man of Steel reference, and the feminist thing.
You don't like the Man of Steel references?
No, I mean, like, what reference? Like, I disliked how they had the chance to reference Man of Steel when she...
Oh, the hope. Yeah. Well...
Yeah, they could have thrown that in.
How do you think... What do you guys think about the... how they're playing Jimmy Olsen in this?
I don't have a problem with the race change, but it's not really.
No.
He doesn't act that much like Jimmy Olsen.
Right. No. Yeah. I'm
The other guy
not so
acts
much
Jimmy.
the race change, but he's more. This guy is like suave and
Confident.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's,
Like a cool guy.
it's like Shaft. Like, you know, he's the, like, he walks in the room and everything, and, you know, and she couldn't. She was all hot and heavy. She couldn't take her eyes off him and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like, it doesn't. Obviously, they've done a big change with
I mean,
Jimmy
I don't
Olsen.
really. When it comes, well, to me, when it comes, sometimes, like, as some of you guys know, like, I really, so there's times that I really try not to, complain about race changes when it comes to, like, comic book adaptations, but I mean, for this Jimmy, like, in a way, I let it slide because his race is not really that important to this character. It's just what really matters is that he acts like Jimmy, you know. But I mean, I don't really remember Jimmy ever being like a suave dude, like you guys said, or like a Shaft dude. But
It's not like right. The races, you know, that matters not to me. The thing is, like, this, you know, I mean, he's the guy that, you know, Mehcad Brooks is a good actor.
he is.
You know, I've
I
seen
used to love him
him
when
in,
I saw
lots
the
of things. Yeah, he
used to
he
watch
was on True Blood for a little bit, and he did
the
Unnecessary
game.
Roughness. You know, with the football. Yeah, I mean, he's done some things, and, you know, and he's great in the role that he's in now, as, you know, the Jimmy Olsen that he's playing, but he's like his own version of the character. It's not the, you know, one that everyone's used to. You know, even with the, you know, the race changing it, that, you know, to me it doesn't matter. But the character, what Jimmy Olsen embodies, you know, Jimmy Olsen was always this dorky or, you know, guy, and he was sometimes nervous around Supergirl. So now in this role, it's like the other way around. You know, she runs into him, and, you know, she's obviously got a thing for him already.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
we know
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, he dropped. John dropped, but he's back. I added him back again.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Just having a bit of internet. Just having a bit of internet trouble.
He was off assassinating someone.
Yeah.
For better connection, you can probably turn off the video and then just, you know, the audio. Cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm on now.
Yeah,
I'm just
video
doing the audio.
Yeah, me too. And also, there's also one thing I wanted to add about Jimmy Olsen too, is that pretty much, like, we also have to remember there's actually I mean, not counting like all the not counting the Elseworld stories, because, you know, there was one Elseworld story where Jimmy Olsen was a CIA. I mean, I don't know if you guys read Superman Red Sun, or the one where he actually gained Superman's power, which was JLA. The
No, I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 16. True story.
Who was that?
That was actually that was a clip of Supergirl playing.
Oh.
I don't know why. It started playing on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we might as well have it throw in a little reference since we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's funny. But
that's all right.
Yeah, they do things like that. I've noticed they've done that with a lot of different characters in different comics. Well, I think they'll change them up. I mean, sometimes drastically.
Yeah, I mean, there will be times that, there will be times that I like some changes, but there will be times that I will hate on. I mean, like, let's say, like, for instance, like, I didn't like this year. You guys know I didn't like Ultron's portrayal in the Avengers: Age of Ultron. I kind of think they took the character out of context. They kind of butchered the character, but that's one change I didn't like. But like I said, some changes I accept, some changes I can't get with.
There's one thing. What do you guys think of Jenna Dewan Tatum as Lucy Lane?
I don't know who. I don't even know who that is.
Well, The the actress,
Was she race changed?
huh?
Was she race changed?
No,
No,
no. She's just
Jennifer. She's Channing Tatum's wife. She's on Supergirl. She's currently playing Lucy Lane on Lois Lane's younger sister.
yeah. So this is the woman who was able to steal Channing Tatum away from all the single ladies.
Yeah.
So, but she was so I guess she liked his mic. So anyway, Lucy Lane. Now we know that, and Lucy Lane at some point becomes Superwoman, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll lead toward that in this iteration of the show, or do you think they'll keep her an independent character to where she gets to near that potential but never fulfills it? Kind of like when, like at the end of Smallville, Clark becomes Superman, but we don't actually see him become Superman. Or do you think that she'll, become that character? Maybe not this season, maybe in the later season.
I think she will. I think she will mainly in later seasons, to be honest, but not too, because I think it's a little too early to start a Superwoman. But I think she will.
Yeah.
Then again,
Well,
Lucy Lane, she's a character that I mean, I'm not really too crazy about, but I mean, I don't have that all that whole knowledge about her, but just a little FYI.
I don't have a lot of knowledge about her either, but I do know that in the comics, from what I've read and seen, that our cat Grant has a kid. And I wonder how they'll introduce the kid in the series, if, he'll appear.
Yeah, he will actually. They've already confirmed that her son will appear.
Nice.
yeah.
Speaking of which, I think there was a little controversy regarding the cat Grant character when Calista Flockhart was cast as her, because because I know in most media, in most comic books, Cat Grant was always portrayed as a little bit younger, and she also had huge breasts and from her breast implants.
They've got 70-year-old Calista Flockhart playing her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But I give her, but at least Calista Flockhart, at least she plays the part well. I mean, she kind of plays it the way Cat is portrayed in the comic book. She's a
she's a great actress, though. I mean, I don't knock Calista Flockhart for she's got great acting skills. It's just that that she's a little older, and her face is mostly plastic now.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see it. But she does her acting ability, hasn't changed, except so I mean you can see in some scenes where you can see with her Botox and she has no emotion on her face. But I guess that's perfect for her character. For her to be evil, this evil tycoon, and. I mean, does that go? I mean, probably it actually plays well with the character. Even all of her plastic surgeries and anything like that. They would probably put it. I wouldn't put it past them to write something like that into the show. But I don't know if that would be something that would the fans would go crazy over if it was. I mean, you have some really hardcore people who just don't like anything to change whatsoever.
I mean, I wouldn't. I'll admit that I'm somewhat of a hardcore dude, but there are times that I will. So there's some changes that I will agree with and I won't agree with, but that's all I have to say. Also, now that we're doing this podcast, I also want to take the chance to ask you guys about this, because this is a news that's been going around for a while about. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the interviews of Charles Roven, the executive producer. He's been doing a lot of interviews with Collider.
Yeah.
He's talking about the future of the DC universe. He's talked about Wonder Woman's supposedly starting. Wonder Woman and Justice League, they're supposed to be starting films. I mean,
Yeah.
the Flash being separate from the movie being separate from the TV verse, and also that he revealed the whole DC franchise. I wanted to ask you guys about that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That he's doing the franchise, or the way that they're going about.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Charles Roven has said so far. I mean, he's brought up Wonder Woman, that the filming's supposed to be starting sometime next month. Justice League supposed to be starting next year, next spring. That he had to confirm for the millionth time that the Flash movie and the Flash TV show are separate.
Yeah.
And then he also confirmed who's running the whole DC franchise, which includes him, Zack Snyder, Deborah Snyder, Jeff Johns, and there was one other producer, I forgot his name.
They're doing I don't know. I think that they're one thing I want to say is, though, I think that they are, because Wonder Woman is supposed to come out, and did they push Wonder Woman back?
No, it's coming out.
Wasn't she 17?
No, yeah, it still is.
She's still 17.
Yeah,
okay, I thought they. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone think that because we saw that set pic, right, of Chris Pine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone else think that Scott Eastwood might probably be playing the modern day Steve Trevor?
Yeah, I think that is true.
What, Scott Eastwood?
Yeah.
Because Chris Pine, he was dressed up like in the 40s fashion.
Mm-hmm. And then
so you think that?
Yeah, it wasn't modern day.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Eastwood is in the Suicide Squad, though.
Yeah, and then in all the set photos we've seen him, he's dressed up in a military attire with the green camouflage with a bulletproof vest, holding a machine gun.
You think that he may be Steve Trevor?
The modern day, yeah.
Huh.
Because if you guys, I don't know if you guys, most of you are still reading the New 52. Steve Trevor was helped out, was the liaison to the Suicide Squad, and he works for Argus. So I think that's a possibility.
But why you don't think that they would use Chris Pine to do that?
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, what if another one of my, and another thing about me is I hate, again I said, I'm not really big on old fan theories unless they sound really good, but there's a possibility that what if Chris Pine is playing both the old school and the modern day Steve Trevor, he could be the grandson, Steve Trevor the Third or something like that.
Right.
I mean, that's a possibility.
I hear what you're saying. So he's the Eastwood could be the younger.
Yeah.
But I feel
Chris Pine could be
right. Well, he could do that. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, though, one of the theories. Now we know that Slade Wilson is going to appear somewhere. We don't.
I hope.
And people were trying to speculate of who, because they're putting this movie together, and a lot of people were thinking about Scott Eastwood being that character, and where not so much some people were thinking Steve Trevor, the new generation, or Slade. Now, I think that maybe not. Maybe he's not either. I mean, maybe he is. If he is the Steve Trevor, there's going to be a surprise. We're going to see some kind of surprise scene. I think that Slade will appear in the Suicide Squad in some capacity. Whether he plays a major role or whether he comes towards the end to set up a sequel. or something in that regard. I think I would like it more if there was like some kind of underlining thing where we see all the series of events end up being that Slade Wilson was behind all this, and then setting up a sequel maybe for that particular film.
That sounds like a great thing, a great theory right there.
It's a possibility that they could always do that, because we don't, who are they facing? Who are the Suicide Squad facing?
That's what I'd like to know.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know.
I stand by that they're either facing Joker or Enchantress.
I think that they're putting like all this team together to go after, it's one of them. So, and I feel it feels very much like I know you guys saw Assault on Arkham. It feels very much. That film looks and feels. I think they took elements from that. They absolutely took elements from that. You can't tell me they didn't. With the Joker and Harley connection, and the way that you see how that played out in the film and the Assault on Arkham. And it's this whole Joker and Harley thing. I think that he is probably someone who he gets out and ends up like foiling some sort of plan, or and it could be that I don't know if it'll be exactly the same as an Assault on Arkham, but he's probably got some diabolical thing. We already know that Batman is in the film. We already know that the film. And if you didn't, the film is using like flashback material. So some of the scenes, I think the scenes that Batman is in are may not be current scenes, and they may be flashback scenes from him chasing after the Joker. And then the forward story will be the story of the Suicide Squad. But we really won't know until we see it. But I think that we do know that there's going to be some flashbacks in the film, and we did see them shooting some. There was some Harley and Joker scenes that were before, and then there was some after scenes. So I feel, at some point there's some kind of flashback action, maybe showing what led up to certain events of the film. But what do you think? What do you guys think on that? Do you think that Batman is there in the flashback, or do you think that he's in present, chasing after the Joker?
Present.
Probably present, and flashback probably be the way.
My thing.
I think he's in flashback scenes, but I think he might have one present scene. As a tie-in to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, or maybe the solo Batman film. But I think he will have at least one present scene in the movie.
Right. And I think that's my thought process. I think that there is a present scene in there. I think he might even meet up with Waller at some point, and maybe they can have that. One of the things I always loved about DC animation was the interchange between Waller and Batman.
Yeah, me too.
Because they had some great dialogue. They had some great, that scene they had where when Batman showed up in her bathroom. I want to see that in a movie so bad.
Yes.
That was fun.
Great. Yeah, it was great. But she knew who he was, and that's when she pulled all his cards and told him right there she knew he was Bruce Wayne. And all he could do was just look at her. And I was like, man, so that one of the first times you saw somebody get one over on Batman.
Hey, did you know that this week alone we've gotten like 10 likes on the page?
Yeah.
Some more publicity.
Yeah, people are coming in.
Yeah, I think it's because of
Dude, it's good. It's getting people in. Also the shares from the articles and everything. We've been getting a lot of we've been getting more Twitter followers. I'm mostly active on the Twitter account, doing the
Yeah.
retweets and trying to and talking to some of the celebrities there. You know, Rob Liefeld is somebody who
Yeah. I'm mostly active.
always liking our stuff.
Cool. I'm always active on the YouTube and the Facebook
Or
and
Rob Liefeld.
the website.
Yeah, we did something about Deadpool, and he like retweeted us.
What?
Wow, Rob Liefeld, oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I always I'm following him, and I'm following a bunch of DC actors and everything like that, and some other actors from like Marvel, and I usually like tweet on their things and talk to them, and sometimes they'll like our things, and Liefeld was funny because he did something. I posted something of the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool film, and I was like, and I said, can't wait for this film, and then said the Up Your Geek family is so excited to see this film and to see Deadpool for who Deadpool is in live action and in full force or something, and then he kind of like he retweeted us.
That movie, right?
Yeah, he did us twice. Once he liked one of our things, and then he retweeted.
Did Rob didn't I was gonna ask, did Rob Liefeld had some input on the Deadpool movie, right?
Yeah, and he's actually, I think he's pulling the Stan Lee too. I think they have him like cameo in the film.
Yeah, because I remember the Comic-Con trailer they showed, and when it leaked, I know he has a cameo in that movie, but I don't know if it's attributed like he did some like if he produced it or like he did something like he tweaked up the script or anything.
He had some input. They did get they did talk about getting input from him. What's going to be great, what's going to be great about Deadpool, and this might be a film where hopefully if they do a crossover or a sequel, that they don't Hollywood doesn't mess it up, because this first film is even though nobody has seen it, it's probably going to be really great. And the reason you can tell is because it was made by the people that wanted to make this movie made this movie, because there wasn't they really had a tough time getting a budget for this film, so a lot of it was funded. A lot of it was like funded, kind of like how those people do the oh my goodness, the Kickstarter.
Hmm?
There was something similar to that going on with Deadpool. It had went through all this stuff before it got, because you remember when that leak footage came out years ago, where it was just the animated Deadpool going down into that scene where he jumps into the car and kills those guys.
Yeah.
So that was like years ago. And then now we have the film coming out, but they had been trying to make this movie for so many years that they kept running into roadblocks. A lot of it was budgeting.
I think what finally made it to get made was the footage that led to last year.
Yeah, they put a lot of it together. They actually got some more sponsors or whatever and put the money together. But the thing is that this Deadpool movie is like, your mother or your grandmother making her famous dish that everyone loves. It's kind of like they put their hands in it and blood and sweat and everything, and it's been made. This movie is probably mostly made without major studio interference. That's why that's probably why it's going to be great. And it's going to be a home run for Fox. Huh?
I'm really looking forward to this movie, the Deadpool.
Yeah,
So much so that I'm right now I'm looking for like a good Deadpool shirt to buy so when the movie comes out, or rock it and just
Who do,
wear it, you know.
who do you think leaked that footage last year?
I think it was Ryan Reynolds. I think he did it. I think he leaked that. I mean, because he's another one that's actually been trying to get this movie made for a long time now.
Yeah.
Oh no.
One of,
Now, are you looking? Hey, David, are you looking for a movie shirt or just? I have a Deadpool shirt. I can send it to you.
Yeah, I just need a Deadpool shirt to wear to go see it.
I don't know. What size shirt do you wear?
Anything that's above everything right above an L.
I have a 2X Deadpool shirt.
A 2X.
Cool.
Shirt.
Yeah, I can wear it.
I have
Send it my way, dude.
yeah, I have. Well, I sent Luis a shirt. Did you get the Flash shirt?
Yeah. I've got a Superman shirt.
I sent you the Superman shirt and what, that Flash keychain thing?
Yeah, I need a video about the Flash keychain, by the way.
Yeah, that was.
I did not see that.
It's in my YouTube channel.
Yeah, he put it up and put it on packages. His dad was hiding the packages from him because he thought, he thought Luis was Scarface.
I could use it.
He said, "Who keeps sending you all these packages?"
Yeah.
I said, you know what? And every time I send him a package, Luis was in Mexico. I was like that. I said, you know what? He's got a right to be suspicious. you keep going back and forth.
Yeah. John, I'll post the link to my channel on the chat right here.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, but yeah, no, I do a lot of stuff. I know you guys have seen. I do in a lot of the groups, and especially the ones that I'm adminning, and I do a lot of giveaway stuff. And I have lots of I have shirts, I have all types of things, toys, games, movies,
Yeah.
everything.
You guys,
So
Lamar is thinking about making us shirts.
I am probably gonna get some shirts pressed for some Up Your Geek for some of the Up Your Geek guys.
You should totally apply for that Comic Con thing in their city.
Yeah, but we do have. I am going to do when Philly comes back here. When they do the Philly Comic Con, I'm going to apply for passes to that to see if I can get into there free by having press passes.
Tell them that you're part of the Up Your Geek and you're going to write on the article.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that. Luis. By the way, yeah, Luis did. Did you go today, Luis?
Hell yeah! Didn't you see the video? The Freddy said Up Your Geek.
No, not yet. I couldn't. I told you I was getting a new phone today, so I was like off for a long time.
Like in the beginning of the chat, remember?
Nah.
Yeah, that's a video. Just like a 5 seconds, because I was interviewing the cosplayers too. And in the end, those two cosplayers said what he said.
That was great. Did you have someone videoing for you?
Yep. I had 2 press passes. One for me, one for my friend.
That's great.
And sister at that day too.
Yeah, so they're finally, we do have a lot of articles on the website and everything, and they actually, Luis got 2 press passes, and it's crazy, so
yeah.
I think that it's good, but normally if you are, some places, if you've been established for, greater than 12 months, and they'll, you have to be 12 months or more and have like some published articles and things like that. You'll be able to do that. I'm hoping to do that for the Philly Comic Con. I am the 2 that I'm closer to are the Philadelphia one, which it's only like 25 minutes from me, and then the New York Comic Con. which is the drive away. So I'm gonna try to do both of them. So hopefully I can do those applications and try to get out there, and interview some people. So do some awesome stuff. Get us some more followers and.
Yeah, that thing about going to cons, a local con, and saying you're part of the Up Your Geek thing. Yeah, like that's what I got this week.
That's cool.
I need to upload more videos on Up Your Geek.
Yeah, I haven't done my own video yet, but the thing is I just don't have like some of the stuff, like the tools that I need, but one day I will get a chance to do one.
Yeah, my next video, I already know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be me showing off my, like DVD collection, and on the way of the DVD collections and all that, I'm gonna be like reviewing the box sets or like the stuff that's in the, quick reviews. But it's just gonna be like, like what I have in here and all that stuff. I'll try to make it entertaining though.
Yeah.
Like with the rant video. Did anyone see my rant video?
Yes, that was great.
What?
Did you see it, Lamar?
Which one?
The rant about Blu-rays and DVDs.
Oh no! I saw the clip of it, but I didn't watch it yet. I saw the
Yeah.
I actually started it, but I didn't finish watching it. It was short, right? It was like, is that the one that's like 12 minutes?
Yeah, 51.
Okay, there was some. Let's see here. One thing that I'm looking at is I know what I wanted to ask about. What do you guys think about that? How do you think this Gambit movie is going to be next year?
I'm really looking forward to it. I mean,
Are you guys?
to be honest, I don't really understand all the hate that Channing Tatum's getting for this movie because I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to it because one, I love Gambit. Two, I've been wanting to see him do another live action just be done. This is in live action again. Three.
Tatum. He's been fighting for the role for a while.
Channing Tatum was actually one of my choices for Gambit for a long time, and the fourth reason, the reason that I really wanted to, the reason I'm really looking forward to is because I looked it up, and Channing Tatum actually he went as far as to get Chris Claremont to write a treatment for that movie, and you don't know that Chris Claremont, this guy is like the father of the X-Men. I mean, he brought them. To me, I think he's more of the father of the X-Men more than Stan. He really brought them back in the 70s, and he introduced a lot of the characters that we have. He wrote a lot of their great stories, like Days of Future Past and the Dark Phoenix saga and his lengthy Wolverine run. So I'm really looking forward to it because of that.
So,
anyone remember the Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con this year when the Marvel panel, like every Marvel actor was there taking a selfie?
It was actually the Fox Marvel panel from.
The Fox, yeah.
Because remember, since X-Men and Fantastic Four are still with 20th Century Fox, Marvel Studios
and like all of a sudden Channing Tatum came out with the Gambit shirt, and then after the whole thing was over, Stan Lee tried to get off stage, and he had like difficulties, and then Channing Tatum helped him.
I saw that. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I loved it. And as much as and it was a good panel too. I mean, that was like, to me, the Fox panel was like my second favorite after the Warner Brothers panel for Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, because as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the X-Men. I love the X-Men film.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a future.
Yeah.
I can't stress to tell you I love Days of Future Past.
Future Past is like my #1 favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites too, and I know this is not really a popular opinion amongst people, but when it comes to like Marvel movies in general, I honestly prefer like most of the Fox and X-Men movies over like most of the Marvel Studios films. And the reason I say that is because I like how they balance them all in tones. You know, like they were like serious and dark, but they also tend to have like some lighthearted, like funny moments, but they don't oversaturate it. And I also like
Absolutely.
how, and I also one of the things I also absolutely love about the X-Men films is that each of them tends to have like a different theme. Like look at the first X-Men film, it was mostly based on Magneto, like trying to show that he has dominant power, like trying to show his absolute power. The second one will show like them trying to unite the bad guys can unite against someone that wants to destroy them. The third X-Men movie, Last Stand, I know a lot of people didn't really like it that much, but what I liked about it is that it also sort of had a different theme for like a core like how it was to show like how the community divides like when they announce that there's a different mutation and
Yeah,
you know
I thought it wasn't that bad.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the third film is actually like it's like a guilty pleasure of mine. It was the tone. The thing is, they really did. The tone was kind of the same. Film wise, it just seemed it was a little. It was more dark.
Yeah.
I mean, despite some of the hate for it, it was a kind of a dark. This was the third film was a darker film, and mostly because they were doing a Dark Phoenix reiteration there, but it was just it was one of those movies that it was supposed to have this major impact, and it did, and it was actually one of it's even though it got such a bad rap, I think it's the third highest rated X-Men film of all the X-Men movies. It's
Like I
Oh, sorry.
prefer Left Hand over Origins Wolverine.
The biggest gripe that I had with X-Men: The Last Stand was that I think this is what a lot of people had a problem with, that it had a convoluted plot. The problem with it is that they were trying to do two stories in one, the Cure storyline and the Dark Phoenix. Like the whole plot just became too convoluted. I think what would have been better for the movie,
they were doing what? I'm sorry.
it had a convoluted plot. Like they were trying to do two stories in one, the Cure and the Dark Phoenix
Oh
saga.
yeah.
I think what would have been better is that if they had just stuck to one story
Yeah.
instead of making the plot too confusing and skipping
Well,
pages.
I think what they were, I think they did. I think that kind of suffocated them a little bit, because here's why. One of the things I think was the issue was the runtime of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was too short. It was like 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah, you had two plots going in this film, two storylines dragged from the comics in this film, and you allotted only an hour and 45 minutes for all that. And then, so now look at X-Men 2. X-Men 2 was the longest one. You had the first movie was an hour and 45 minutes, and then this was I think it's an hour and 40 minutes. This one was the second movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
It was a long movie. I remember that.
Yeah, this was, I think it was 2 hours and 25 minutes. This is almost 2.5 hours. And then you did the third one. And the third one, you had these major storylines from the comic book in this film, and you only allotted an hour and 40 minutes of screen time for to play out this big movie. Now, if anything, this movie should have been 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it should have.
Yeah.
I mean, you had they had the tools and they had the you know the material to stretch out this film a little longer and to dive into some detail. He left a lot of major characters out. Um, you know, they did this. You know, they made this decision to. You know, they killed off Cyclops, and
Yeah.
it was horrible.
Well, I
So
think
he can return.
one of another reasons that this movie had a lot of problems is that Bryan Singer had left in 2004, like he exited directing that movie, and then Fox was struggling, like they rushed to like find a new director. Matthew Vaughn was supposed to do it, but then he dropped out. Zack
Yeah,
Snyder was supposed to do it too, but then he was busy doing 300 at the time.
yeah,
I
and
think
then
that
Zack Snyder was also going to be directing Origins Wolverine, but he
he
decided
was,
to stay with Watchmen.
but
can you imagine?
I mean, I think if Zack Snyder, I think either Zack Snyder had did it, and then I'm a huge fan of him. I think they still would have turned out bad because at the time Fox was like, this was during the time when Fox when what's his name, Thomas Rothman was still in charge. He was at the time he was a dick when it came to these movies. Like he wanted creative control, like he wanted to rush everything.
Yeah,
I mean, and I
that's
think
kind of
Zack Snyder
what this is.
was
What
better
this is
than
kind of what
Rothman.
happened with Sony.
Yeah,
Sony and Spider-Man. You know, we were going to get a fourth film,
and to finish the
and
sixth film too.
instead we were supposed to actually get another trilogy of movies
Mm-hmm.
with Tobey Maguire. And Sam Raimi, they started working on this fourth one, and I think they wanted him to use a villain that he didn't want to use or he didn't feel was ready to be displayed in the film. Was it? I think they were trying to get him to. They wanted to put the Vulture in,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember
and
that.
he got they got into some creative disagreement. And then the film that they wanted him to shoot, they wanted him to be finished by a certain deadline, and he said, well, there was no way that the film would be done by that particular deadline, especially with the villain that they had in mind to put in there, with all the post-production stuff.
I remember that.
So he's like, they just scrapped it, and Sony, they just decided, let's do a reboot. I would have loved to have seen the emails for those conversations.
That I want to see.
Yeah, but speaking on your point, David, about Singer leaving, one of the things I've been boiling in my mind that I've been thinking about maybe doing a cast on was talking about the superheroes that I have a list of like 12 one-time superhero actors who never got a sequel to a film, which always interests me, the dynamics behind what went into a film and why they chose not to go forward with them. And one of the ones was that Bryan Singer thing from when he left X-Men, and he left X-Men to do what?
Superman Returns.
Yes, which was a tremendous failure.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, as much as I like Bryan Singer for some of his films, like I really hated it. Superman Returns. I mean, I don't really.
he defected. Yeah, he defected from the X-Men franchise only, to return, to Days of Future Past. But, he...
Which was a beautiful film. I mean, you guys already know I love
exactly.
That was literally one of my all-time
It was.
favorite.
It was probably one of the best films I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
superhero, comic, or otherwise.
I own the road cut to it, and I've watched it like a few times already.
I do have, I have the road cut. One of the things that he did when he made this film, he made one of the things that was, I guess, a little iffy with him going to Superman Returns was that he made the unorthodox decision to turn the franchise reboot into a direct sequel to Superman 2, as opposed to making it like a standalone film. And this kind of, they made this film, obviously, and pretended that, Superman 2 and 4 never existed, which is very good on their part, I guess, because I wish they weren't made either. But and this kind of decision explains why Singer decided to cast, when he cast an unknown person, Brandon Routh, and we all know when he cast him, that it's funny how things work out, because Henry Cavill was actually, trying for that role as well back then.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't hear find out about that till like years later. Cause at the time I was a teenager and I wasn't really like into
Henry Cavill did a screen test and everything in the suit, and this is when J.J. Abrams was involved, and it was supposed to be flyby, and then but also now this thing went through multiple directors. At one point, there was J.J. Abrams. You had Bryan Singer. Also, Brett Ratner was at one point considered to shoot this film.
I remember that.
And there's a lot of backstory to some of these things that some people don't know. And Brandon Routh was actually picked over Henry Cavill, but now Henry Cavill is like the definitive Superman.
Yeah, he is.
It's like nobody can't.
I think in a way he kind of surpassed Christopher Reeve.
He did. I mean, I was like, man, Christopher Reeve, but this man like personifies what a Superman is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's done well as the character, but they did this Returns, and this movie wasn't really nostalgia heavy. I think that's what kind of the problem with Superman Returns, among other things, and but Snyder smashed it. But I guess when they did, they rebooted the series. They obviously, I think they were supposed to do the sequel. The movie, the movie was called Man of Steel, and we know that Brandon Routh was actually supposed to do the sequel, and it was going to be called Superman Man of Steel.
I remember that.
Yeah, but they decided.
I was like, I should see that movie happen.
Yeah, they decided just to do the reboot and make it just a standalone film. But one other character who didn't get to come back in sequel films was remember Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that change?
I wanted him to come back as I definitely wanted him to be back as the War Machine. I like Terrence Howard, fantastic actor. I'm not really sold. I'm still not sold on Don Cheadle, just like I'm still not sold on Mark Ruffalo. I still prefer Edward Norton.
Yeah, me too.
Same here.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him go forward, but we've all heard stories of the monster that the Marvel executives are behind the scenes. When it comes to their, staffing actors and things like that. Before Marvel went and had this massive interconnected world, they had one task, and that was to create Iron Man, and then they hired Robert Downey Jr., who was fresh out of rehab and trying to get he was making a comeback. That was the year he made a comeback. Iron Man was his breakout, and then he did Tropic Thunder, where he was nominated for an Academy Award playing a dude that was disguised as another dude playing another dude. But he became a fan favorite right away, and then but the same can't be said for Terrence Howard, who was cast. When they cast him as, James Rhodes, I liked him in the role. Obviously, eventually that character goes on to become War Machine, but when it comes time for the sequel, Howard was replaced by Don Cheadle, and we all know that. But it was reported Howard. I remember that Howard was. It was rumored that he was difficult on set and that he wanted too much money. And then later on, he said that they were trying to pay him an eighth of the price that he was supposed to be paid. That was in his contract for him. And he was recast, so they didn't like that. They don't really like the pushback, but I know that the way that Howard tells it is that he was contracted, which was probably true. He was contracted. He made $4 million for. He made $4 million for the first Iron Man film. He was for the sequel. He was opted for the sequel, and if this movie was successful and they were going to do a sequel, he was supposed to make $8 million. Well, the rumor was that they apparently were going to do a sequel and wanted to pay him not even the $4 million, but $2 million.
And you know what's the crazy thing about this whole thing is that I looked up is that Terrence Howard actually was actually for the first Iron Man movie that he actually made more. He was paid the highest salary for that movie. He was actually paid more than Robert Downey Jr., who was the main star of that movie.
Well, yeah, and Terrence Howard. I mean, at the time, Terrence Howard was a bigger star than Robert Downey Jr.
He was.
He had just come off of an Academy Award nomination as well, playing in Hustle and Flow, and he was doing well. And Crash, they actually won for Best Picture of the year. They were nominated. Terrence Howard at the time was a bigger star. His star continues to rise, but it's also he's a fantastic actor. But it's such as life. Things things happen. But Howard did. I think he did a great job in that role. I would have liked to have seen him do that, but I did. It's awful that they tried to. He's like, they pay him $4 million. The contract says $8 million for a sequel, but then you're gonna try and pay him $2 million. And you can you heard stories from everyone else that was really difficult. At one point they were going to replace Jeremy Renner. Because he badmouthed how they wrote his character in the first film, Avengers film.
Yeah, I remember that story going around like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that was. That's awful. Like you tell us, he said he didn't like being turned. He was a villain the entire film, and then he was like under mind control. Right. Well, and then. They were like, we're not going to do that. But then now that by the time they did Avengers, Robert Downey Jr. was already in there for he had these successful franchise started already, and he was this big star. And this man, he did Avengers and was commanding massive amounts of money. He got paid $50 million. Like Tony Stark. This guy now, Robert Downey Jr. is running the show. Robert Downey Jr. is to the Marvel franchise what Johnny Depp is to the Pirates franchise. And what I mean by that is that Johnny Depp can kind of predict what happens with these films, really. Robert Downey Jr., you know, he doesn't have any control of the writing and everything, but one thing he did do was advocate for all the actors. You know, if we're going to do this film, you know, he said everybody comes on board and we shoot this film or I don't come back. You know, he was like, I'm not going to make this film. And, you know, because they were really talking about, you know, how can you do this film that you put this person's face in and made him this national character, merchandise and everything, and then you just change.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I don't mean to cut you up, but I'm a little pressed for time. That I need to.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to. What was I gonna say, man? Yeah, I wanted to say something else. I just can't remember it. Sorry.
Yeah.
That I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back and earlier. Going back to like one of the questions I had asked earlier about was when about Charles Roven when he said about who's running the DC films. I just want to get my thoughts on that, you know, before I head out because I got some stuff to do and I need to get some rest too. That he said like he confirmed that Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder and Jeff Johns are running the DC movies. And I wanted to say that, you know, to me, I love this creative team, and I'm glad that.
Go ahead.
I mean, you know, I love Zack Snyder. He's a great director. I pretty much love his film. Jeff Johns, you know, is one of the best like comic book writers of the last decade. He's one of the people overseeing the franchise. Like, that's a really big news asset. The guy knows that Lantern back, that Flash, like all his crossovers.
Yes.
A lot of people want to blame the Green Lantern, but I don't really blame Johns because, you know, he had very, very little input. I mean, in fact, a lot of people will remember this. Jeff Johns actually had overseen the original script for the Green Lantern movie, which was, I read that script when it leaked last year, and that script was beautiful. I honestly wish that they had used that script instead of the one that we found. That's all I wanted to say, you know.
Absolutely. I agree that I love this creative team. I do. You know, and I'm sorry if we didn't answer the question, but we that is I love Jeff Johns. He's a great guy. A great he's contributed so much to them. So I absolutely think that DC is in great hands with them. I mean, this is a team that will likely combat and likely defeat, you know, this, you know, if there's going to be competition with Marvel, I think that DC's in good hands to go up against those people.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm about to let you guys finish up, alright? I mean, it was an honor to finally do a podcast with you guys.
Likewise.
Good.
Hopefully I'll probably do another one when I get a chance.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Also do like movie reviews podcast.
Alright.
We'll talk about like one movie and review it.
Alright, sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys finish up now, right?
Alright. Have a good night.
So everybody, I just want to say to the Up Your Geek fans, you know, it's an honor to find you guys to contribute, and much love to everybody.
All right. See you, David.
Bye.
That was fun.
Yeah. So I'm here.
And we are joined by
Joe Kaczynski.
So, we have a joiner.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, introduce yourself, Joe and Min.
Hey,
what's going on?
How you doing, Joe?
Doing pretty good.
One of the things I did want to talk about some of these other actors that did the one-time role and rolled out. One obvious, two actually, Eric Bana and Edward Norton. What are your thoughts on those characters?
Edward Norton I liked better. Eric Bana was just there, kind of.
Are we talking about the Incredible Hulk and the Hulk movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were before you got on, Joe. We were I started this dialogue about 12. I have a list of actors that did one superhero movie and never got a sequel for them, as the actor in the sequel, and the company or the studio decided to do a reboot or recast the actors. And we just got finished talking about how Rhodes was changed from Terrence Howard in the first Iron Man to Don Cheadle in the second and third and so forth. So I'm talking about Eric Bana. He was in that first movie, The Hulk, directed by Ang Lee. And then 5 years later, they did the Ed Norton version, The Incredible Hulk, which a lot of people, I guess, liked better. As in that way, and plus Ed Norton's a great actor, but he also was cut off, and then they got Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I like of all the two, I like Edward Norton better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think is better. Not just better Hulk acting, but better acting than Bana, in my opinion.
I did like the Eric Bana one when I was younger. I've just grown out of it now.
Right. Well, yeah.
Mr. Sleeky boy.
This was I think Ang Lee's a famed director. He's done some great work. He is a great director. This film with Eric Bana, Eric Bana did a great job turning the character sensitive in his lead role, but the film didn't garner much excitement, and the planned sequel never happened. Then 5 years later, Marvel took over the rights to the character and made the Incredible Hulk. Well, they didn't technically take over the rights. They partnered, just like they're doing with Sony now with Spider-Man. They partnered with Universal because Universal still owns the rights to the Incredible Hulk. But they did their follow-up to Iron Man. And obviously at the end of that film, you had Tony Stark walk into a bar. And tell the general they're putting a team together, but this time it was Ed Norton, but the box office was disappointing, and there was a lot of rumors of there being conflict between Norton and the studio. So by the time Bruce Banner got angry again for the 2012 Avengers, Norton was replaced by Ruffalo, and we know that Norton was actually supposed to be in the Avengers. But a lot of the problem, though, and maybe you guys have know about the stuff that happened on set with Ed Norton. Ed Norton is kind of like a set. He's like a set monster.
I heard the thing. Well, exactly the same situation with Val Kilmer when he's playing Batman. He has some issues with Joe Schumacher.
Yeah, well, because he was making such a horrible movie.
Yeah.
But
I will say though, out of Batman Forever and Batman Robin, Batman Forever is at least watchable.
You think Batman Forever was the least watchable?
No, I reckon it's more watchable than Batman.
Okay, yeah. I agree.
We're like an hour 14 minutes in, and I am so glad that no one has been kicked out of their place.
Has been kicked out of their place.
Cain can swim.
I don't live with my sister. I'm sorry. No.
Neither.
I hope Mr. Bane can swim.
This is my house. I own it. So here's the thing we did with. I agree with you, John. By the way, I actually liked Batman Forever. Because I think that Val Kilmer actually played a good Bruce Wayne. in that particular film because and actually there was more detective work in Batman Forever than than I had seen in a long while since like Michael Keaton did anything. But the Batman and Robin one, I don't. Do you guys remember any detective work in that one?
No, I don't remember detective work.
There was a lot of action, but there was
Batman Forever. I'm like John. I do enjoy watching it. Like even as a kid, adult today, I still enjoy watching it. I mean, yes, Two-Face could have been a little bit more darker.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I would love to see Tim Burton's version of Batman Forever in that.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. His was funny. Two-Face, for me, Two-Face was dark. The problem is he was goofy. They made him goofy.
I was the same way. I felt he was a little bit too goofy sometimes.
Yeah, because he was vicious. Like he was like shooting. He was just killing people just to be killing people. And he, so. I mean, in that way, it was kind of dark. But he was like, it was just. He was laughing and everything's not funny. Two-Face was always a serious character, and they made him like he was laughing and getting all goofy with the Riddler. I'm like, come on, man, this isn't Two-Face.
Especially, there was one serious moment, two serious moments. One, he was going to kill the police officer, which was pretty serious. And another serious moment was when he was going to blow up the circus.
Oh, well,
Just want to look a fun fact about that Two-Face. Like back then, the movies when Tim Burton directed Batman movies, he had I forgot the name of the actor. He was Cain Harvey Dent. Do you guys know who?
Oh yeah, Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams. Yeah, he casted him as Harvey Dent. So when Burton would make him Two-Face, he would have half his face white and the other one black. I don't know, instead of red burned, it would be white discolored, the Joker.
Right.
And the other one would be black, so it could be two sides. I don't know, I read that somewhere. I think it was
Yeah, I remember. I remember that watching that as a kid. I'm like, Harvey Dent. And I didn't, I knew who the characters were in Batman, but I'm just like, wait a minute. I said Harvey Dent it's Two-Face. I said, so is this guy going to turn into Two-Face? This is before we have the knowledge that we have now about comics and everything like that. But this is when I was developing that stuff, coming up as a kid and just thinking. So I guess they're going to put him in a film as Two-Face at some point. But when that didn't happen, I remember I said, wait a minute. So they got Tommy Lee Jones to do Two-Face. What happened to Billy D. Williams?
Yeah, I know.
different director. Yeah.
Yeah. So then now understanding. Some years ago, as I got older, I understood what those dynamics were with changing directors and all that, doing that non-connection. But one of the Val Kilmer may have had some tough stuff with. Actually, yeah, he didn't come back to the film. He was actually. And do you know why they called Batman Forever Batman Forever?
Why?
It was titled that. So maybe this should be in one of my Did You Know sessions, but it was titled Batman Forever because Val Kilmer was supposed to be Batman Forever. Val Kilmer, when Val Kilmer first signed on to do the film, he opted for multiple sequels.
It's interesting. What happened?
He quit.
Why?
He quit. He didn't get along with Mr. Schumacher.
I see.
But yeah, I mean that Joel Schumacher was directing this film, so he didn't get along with him. But not only that, and then he had some creative differences with them, and he also and then he left. I believe he left. He opted not to do the sequel to do this film called The Island of Dr. Monroe with and I remember. I'm like, why? I remember reading, and I think that's the first time I got like enthralled into learning all the behind the scenes stuff. And I was just a kid then. I remember reading that Val Kilmer wouldn't return for the Batman sequel. He's doing the Island of Dr. Monroe film, and I'm like, wow. So he's just leaving, but they actually had that staple on there. It was called Batman Forever because he was supposed to be the definitive Batman. So any sequels that they made after that was supposed to star Val Kilmer. So a little interesting note, but that ended up not happening, obviously. So say, well, you probably shouldn't name movies for things, because why was it called Batman Forever? Because people were probably wondering why it's even titled that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what?
We think Ben Affleck could be the closest to the definitive Batman.
Yeah, I think Affleck will probably do great. He's a great actor.
The guy just looks like Batman.
Yeah, he looks like the definitive character.
Yeah.
But and talking about Ed Norton, what do you guys think of Ed Norton? Have you guys heard of any of his dealings, like how he is on? When he did this interview about when he did. This is what kind of gears me towards dislike of a person who does. Like, he did this film, he did the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, and Ed Norton said in the interview, bless you, Ed Norton says in the interview that he said he wanted to do a superhero film, and then he said he wanted to do it one time, and then he was done. This was like a fantasy, and he fulfilled this fantasy, and that was it. And he had no interest in doing a sequel or doing the Avengers. And so I'm thinking that's bold. That's a bunch of BS.
I heard it was because they were having like conflicts on set of the Incredible Hulk. Norton was like trying to tell like other people what to do or how to do it better or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
With American History X.
Absolutely.
Like Edward Norton, he's one of those guys that basically, like at work, right? Like a regular job, average Joe job. He's one of those actors who tells other people how to do their jobs.
Absolutely.
The coworkers, yeah. That tells other coworkers how to do their jobs.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was getting to, Luis. Too. The actor himself, he gets into, he said this, but he was signed. He wanted to do the sequel. He wanted to do the Avengers, but they ended up not agreeing and not meshing well. On the set of the Incredible Hulk, he was in the movie like he was directing it. If you watch the behind the scenes of the Incredible Hulk, the behind the scenes stuff, you'll see him like he's telling the stunt guy how to do a damn stunt. Like he's he's like, no, like, you know, what if we kind of do it this way? No, I'm the stunt coordinator. You listen to me, like what I'm telling you. You know?
Okay, you listen here. I'm the actor. I'm gonna tell you what to do. What something do I want? I'm not gonna you tell me what something I should do.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but you know, I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm like, are you seriously telling the stunt guy how to do it? Like, come on. But I can just imagine how he was. He probably was in every scene because what he was doing is the job of the director. The director is who directs these things. So here's another thing, though. He also wanted to. He was fighting with them because he wanted to direct. He wanted to have some, not so much as director, but he wanted to have some creative control over the Avengers film.
Wasn't he more or less classed as co-director, but they didn't credit him?
He wanted to. Well, he wanted that for the Avengers. Like, for him to come to the Avengers, he wanted to have either some kind of directing credit, or he wanted to have some kind of creative control with helping. He wanted to help dictate how the script was going to be for the film. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, what? These people, like, you can't tell people, oh, you're not this, you're this high and mighty actor. You know, you're coming here to do a job. They've got 12 other people to jam into this movie, and you're going to sit and tell them, you know, they need to do it the way you want it, or you're not going to do the movie. So guess what? We hired a new actor. It's as simple as that. You can't.
You know one movie I always feel like this film was hilarious.
What's that?
X-Men Last Stand, the Juggernaut.
We were talking about that earlier. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that,
I mean, the Juggernaut, you guys think he was hilarious in that movie.
He was. I actually. He was probably one of the characters I did not like. I didn't like the interpretation they did of him.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was awful, and you know, this whole thing that they've done with the comics changing the storylines to people. You know, everyone has this like X gene and everything now. You know, Juggernaut was probably the only character that was not a mutant.
Yeah.
And then, then they changed it to where everyone was had an X gene in them, and that somehow had some sort of mutation. But his powers were mystical. And I don't know, the way they interpreted him in that film, it just wasn't like, this is not a good interpretation of him. I mean, the actor was good. Vinnie Jones is a good actor.
Oh yeah, he did. I mean, I felt sorry for him, like what happened to the movie and him in it.
Yeah.
He's such a good actor in that.
Yes.
Except they did get the look right. That's one thing. That acting ability, his character did kind of wrong a little bit.
Yeah. And so, what do you guys think? Another character, though, if you think about another character another person that didn't get a sequel and who's squandered in like developmental hell for these years is Spawn.
Yeah, I was very kind of surprised that movie never got a sequel.
Well, there was for years. So for years now we know that. So bear with me. This Luke Cage, right, is coming to Netflix. Luke Cage was a film that was actually going to be made into a film, and this is like Luke Cage was like in developmental hell for years, and it was kind of strange to think that a late '90s actually heyday, like where they have an African American hero on screen, they were going to actually do a Luke Cage movie, and then that kind of fizzled out. So then now Marvel's got this idea for the TV shows. But also in the 90s you had Wesley Snipes as Blade, and then the audiences were also treated to Shaquille O'Neal in that god-awful Steel movie.
Oh God.
And then so then you got, Michael Jai White, who put on this tremendous performance as Spawn. And this was obviously we know Todd McFarlane is the creator. Spawn was a dark themed film about this soldier who returns from the dead to see his wife and child, but only after making a deal with the devil to become an eternal servant. We all know the story of Spawn. So the fans love this. I mean, the fans love the movie. They loved White's, Michael Jai White's performance as Spawn. I certainly did.
He did a great job. I mean,
he's a great actor. He did a great job playing the deformed.
And he's following me on Twitter, by the way.
Cool. The film failed to live up to the expectation of the fans, though. Like, film came out and it didn't smash records or anything like that, or make any large money, and then so no sequel or reboot ever made it to production. After several years of development, they were actually developing. They were trying to develop a sequel, and it just never took place. He's the one. Another person that didn't get, and going back, we were talking about Luke Cage. Another person, though, here we have, Ben Affleck, who was the Daredevil. Now that's got the Netflix treatment as well. That here's another show. Didn't get a sequel as a film. They were actually going to make a film. If you guys remember, they were actually that was also in development. They were actually going to make a sequel. And here's what I like Ben Affleck, but back then here's what made me cringe over the idea of Ben Affleck being Batman at first. The fact that he didn't want to make a sequel to Daredevil. This is why, and I know it's not entirely his fault, and I kind of blamed him for the destruction of Daredevil, and then it's losing its rights, which I guess everything happens for a reason. And going back over to Marvel, which they've done a tremendous job with their show, but Affleck actually didn't want to come back for a sequel. This movie was, despite some of the hate for this film, Daredevil was actually acclaimed by critics. I mean, this was something that got, back then when Two Thumbs Up was a thing, it was Two Thumbs Up by Ebert and Richard Roeper, and they liked it. It was dark, it was gritty, it was slick. That all the acting, I think the acting is what got the most praise, but the plot line was kind of off. So, and I think because of some of the the film cutting out those pieces of the film that actually made the film rated R, that they put on the director's cut, I think that that made it a better version of the film, because there was a subplot that got taken care of in the film. There was a subplot that got answered, so that it kind of made the film a little better, because we knew what was happening with some of these characters. But when they were opted for the sequel, Ben Affleck he read this interview, like he said, I wouldn't do a sequel. He said, I'm not interested in doing it because it was too much work. These are the words that came out of his mouth back then. Granted, this was over 10 years ago.
Well, he's not complaining that right now. We're playing Batman now.
And and that was my initial thought when they cast Ben Affleck, and I just thought about that interview he had where he said he didn't want to do the sequel because it was too much work for him. He said all the training, the way he had to eat and everything, which kind of changes the mind of a lot of actors. Like Hugh Jackman, actually, he said that this Wolverine is his last film that they're coming out with in 2017. But he said he doesn't. He said he's really, they made a joke of it, but one of the reasons that he's not coming back is because he's hungry. Because this is, he said he doesn't like the diet that he's on. And I mean, this guy, Hugh Jackman is probably the only person in the history to play the same superhero character in over, by the time that one comes out, it's probably going to be 10 movies.
Yeah,
he's played Wolverine 8 times, and I think that's the most of any character in any superhero film or genre in the history of filmmaking. And it's insane. And so this is when you talk about somebody being in the trilogy, like Tobey Maguire, and people saying, "Oh, I can't see anybody else as Spider-Man." This is someone who's been in 8 films, over 8 films. It's going to be up to 10 films. This is a guy who's played this character in 10 movies. By the time 2017 comes, it's going to be 17 years. And if you factor in the time that it took him to shoot the movie, we're talking nearly 20 years that this man has been Wolverine.
Holy hell.
Yeah, when you put it into perspective, yes. This is, by the time the Wolverine 3 comes out, he would have been, it's probably roughly 18 years, over a span of 18 years that this guy has been playing Wolverine.
He would like to. I know. He said in an interview he would like to be in Deadpool movie.
He would, and he probably, and I don't doubt that he'd come back and do a cameo or something, because I think they're trying to interconnect those universes. The thing, but that's the thing that kind of worried me. Going back to what Affleck doing, when they said, "Oh man, he's Batman," I was kind of worried at first, because I'm like, this guy. I said, what kind of workout you're gonna have to do if you want to be Batman? And
holy crap! I mean, the way he's built right now, he took it.
Yeah, and he did it. Yeah, and he did it, and that's the thing. And I feel like he changed his mind. I said, I don't know what it was, and maybe at the time, maybe it was Jennifer Garner.
Pulling him back.
I don't know. No, I'm saying maybe it was her who changed his mind about being Batman. Because he was not into doing all the workout and everything. She probably convinced him. And then here he is. So he's going to do this. So now he's into it. He's getting involved with the film. He likes the storylines. He's already talking about this, the standalone Batman film and the sequel. And he's already in it. And doing the Justice League.
Especially him and Jeff Jones are working or writing the script together too, as well.
Yeah, he's great. He's gonna do it. So, I do feel like maybe over the next decade we're probably going to get. I feel like we need to have Batman Beyond at some point, and I think that they're going to do these films, over the next 10 years, and he's already playing elder Batman, like an older Bruce Wayne. I think that they should lead once he does his individual, he's going to already be. We're going to see Batman in 4 different films. Legitimately, we already know it's confirmed that we already know he's in Suicide Squad in some capacity.
Yeah.
We already know that he's showing up in Batman v Superman, because it'd be pretty strange if he didn't. We already know that he's going to be in Justice League 1 and 2. So these are 4 films that he's going to be in that just aren't his own. So now, they're trying to twist some of the stories to heavily focus on Batman. So now they're talking about his standalone film maybe in 2019. They do a standalone.
What do you think? What do you think? What comic book inspired is from Bruce Wayne's death? I mean, death of Bruce Wayne's parents. You think it's Batman Year One or The Dark Knight Returns?
Which one?
For Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Well, I think they took story. I don't think they're copying Dark Knight Returns, but I think what they did was I think they've taken story elements from it. The whole Batman v Superman thing is actually it's a story element from that book. The story itself is not Dark Knight Returns, but the element of Batman versus Superman, like Batman in the armored suit and fighting against the Man of Steel, those elements are from that book, but it's not that story.
No, that's yeah,
right.
I kind of knew that already.
Yeah, so I think that's probably about it. To answer your question, I think that's probably about as far as it goes. I think that they've kind of developed their own story for how they want to tell this Batman and Superman story together, along with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all these other characters. But I don't think that. I think that they're probably pulling sources from different comic books. They're probably pulling. Like I would say, I call these things when they use references or samples. I call these pieces of elements, and I think that's I think that's what they're doing. I think they're probably just pulling pieces from different stories. And
especially, I know it's the one thing at the beginning of the Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Comic-Con trailer. I can tell they borrowed some elements from Kingdom Come, that Superman being on trial.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think that's what they're doing. I think they're just they've developed their own story, but they're taking story elements from different books and they're putting them together to kind of weave this, this masterpiece of a film. But when it comes out, this is what people are anticipating. So I think it'll be great. I'm pretty excited for the film. I love Man of Steel. And about Man of Steel, that they borrow a lot of stories from different Superman comics and from the best stories too. Yeah, they did. One of them was a major one was the one by John Byrne.
At Man of Steel?
Yeah.
And Mark Webb, when Superman doesn't know how to fly, and Superman Birthright.
Yep.
And the Superman vs. Zod fight was inspired from the last song, Krypton, written by Richard John and Jeff Johns. Yeah.
And those, and we can see those story elements. That's why it's so great. I love it. That's what's unique about the DC brand. I think that's how they're following their patterns now. When you take story elements, you can kind of develop your own story and make it original while using elements from the source material to make the film feel familiar to people. I think that's a working formula for any writer. And when you're handing it to a director to put this onto screen and everything, I think that's how that works, and it's great. Actually, works out really great.
It's actually hearing the good news from Charles Rove about the credit team for DC Extended Universe. Zack Snyder, Debbie Snyder, Jeff Johns, and one executive from Warner Studios.
Yeah. One. So, one thing, another person who didn't get a sequel, and probably, now is being relegated to TV or Netflix, was The Punisher. Thomas Jane played the Punisher. Ray Stevenson played the Punisher. Who did you like better?
I do like the 2004.
With the movie, I like it from Jane. But I'm unsure about
You have plenty of space for 2 linen cabinets, nice double vanity, nice sized mirror. Then you've got this.
Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, I can barely hear you, Em.
Yeah.
I barely hear him either.
Yeah, I can hear Joe and John pretty clear. They seem like they're right in my room, in my living room, but I cannot.
Now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little better.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, there you go.
I liked Punisher Warzone, but I did like the guy who played the Punisher in 2004, Thomas Jane.
I like for the movie. I like Thomas Jane, the 2004 movie.
Okay.
I like the guy who played the Punisher in 2004. Thomas, I pronounce his last name. Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane.
He was just the Punisher. I mean, period. That guy just. I didn't understand why. I don't understand why that movie did not get a sequel with him in it.
So we're gonna talk about that. So Tom Jane came. They came out with this film, The Punisher. While they Marvel, or Fox did Daredevil, and Daredevil was watered down for the audiences, which is kind of one of the big gripes about it. Daredevil is an edgy character, which is why it works so well on Netflix, because the show is TVMA, which is pretty much rated R for TV. Now, they didn't water down the Punisher because you can't really water down the Punisher, which is why he's probably going to work on the Daredevil show. But the Punisher was very brutally rated R, and rightfully so. I love Thomas Jane as an actor, but when he did this film and they developed this story of Frank Castle losing his family and then going on this crusade of vengeance, I think it was really a good kind of put together version of the character. This was, if you want to call it a superhero film driven by action, by wholesale slaughter, entire families, but Thomas Jane did a hell of a job as Frank Castle, this military man turned vigilante, but he couldn't make up for the unimaginative revenge plot of the film or the scenery chewing performances by, John Travolta, who played Howard Saint. I think Jane eventually, they were actually doing a sequel. Jane dropped out of the sequel, and he was replaced by Ray Stevenson 4 years later when they did Punisher Warzone. Now, Punisher Warzone, hardly anybody saw. I mean,
I liked it. It had good action, I will say that.
Punisher. Here's Punisher Warzone. Punisher Warzone had elements that were close to the comic because Punisher Warzone was based on the Warzone series, I believe, of comics. I did like Wayne Knight in there as, sort of his he was, Frank Castle's Whistler, and I did enjoy, the character that Doug Hutchinson played. He played the brother of Jigsaw, and he did a fantastic job. Dominic West played Jigsaw. He did a great job, but the Jigsaw, the makeup and everything, all that came off kind of hokey to me. And Warzone, even though Warzone was kind of action packed, the film itself, like, there was no dialogue. The dialogue was awful. It came off kind of like this campy type of movie. Like it was almost like a spoof. Like I kept waiting for them to make fun of the characters or doing that, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm like, is this really happening? The thing is that my problem with the Punisher Warzone was that Frank was, instead of like this hardened man who had lost his family and was out for, he was more like a mindless killing machine. We know that the Punisher is that vicious and everything, but he was just, Thomas Jane had heart, and you can tell he had a conscience. With Ray Stevenson, even though Ray Stevenson is a pretty good actor, the film, though, I guess it was the way that it was written and delivered. He seemed like a robot. Like, I'm here just to kill everyone. Like, he was a Terminator. I don't have, I have this black heart. I'm just gonna fuck shit up. I'm just gonna blow people's heads off. I'm gonna punch someone in the face, and like, come on. Now tell me that wasn't campy when he punched that guy in the face and his head exploded.
Yeah.
Come on. That was a bit ridiculous. Now, Thomas Jane's version was kind of grounded in realism a little bit, but also they had a great, story with his story had heart. He kind of took on the second family, these brand of misfits that he met, and they did, and it was great, And they took the one guy played by Ben Foster who did a great job. Actually, Ben Foster's a fantastic actor. But they were torturing the guy, pulling out his piercings, trying to getting information out of him, and he wouldn't tell them anything. But this was a great version of the film. I gotta say, when they did you guys see Dirty Laundry?
Yes.
The short that they did with Thomas Jane? That video on YouTube had more views than people saw Warzone in theaters in its entire theatrical run.
Holy shit.
I'm serious. So, Punisher the Punisher with Thomas Jane, let me see, did $33 million was its budget. The film made $54 million worldwide. Not a huge smash, but they made enough money that they were going to plan a sequel. Sequel probably would have made more money if Thomas Jane did the sequel.
I agree.
Thomas Jane was a fan favorite. I think a lot of the reason that Warzone was so poorly received was nobody wanted to see Ray Stevenson as the Punisher. You just, you completely, changed your whole format. you change the actor. You know, he kind of dropped out. He's, you know, I remember him doing an interview on the Tonight Show when, you know, like a year or so after The Punisher was out. And he was like, yeah, I hope they're doing a sequel. I would love to. And he's then, you know, he did another film, and then he did it like it was another year later, and he was like, yeah, I think they're planning one, but he said, I'm not sure what's going on. Then by that time, by the third year, there was no more movie happening. He probably dropped out. Well, I mean, he did drop out, but, you know, he probably left because they had this thing in limbo so many years. But they were planning the sequel. I think the studio decided they wanted to do a certain thing with the film or the character, and they just decided to do a change-up. I think the studio actually ultimately decided that they wanted to change and do a reboot. One of the things is that, you know, so Warzone had a $35 million budget. Anybody fathom a guess of how much Warzone made in its entire run in theaters?
4 million.
No good.
I think it's $4 million.
It made, yeah. Well, you're right, Em. It made $10 million on a $35 million budget.
Wow.
So, do you know what happened that day? Do you know what happened
that day?
when they got all their final numbers in? Somebody walked into the boardroom and fired everybody sitting there. And
fired.
Yeah, and they probably sent Donald Trump in there too. But
yeah, that's what I was saying. Did Donald Trump come in there and fire him?
But I'm sure heads rolled. And they probably lost a lot of fans because people wanted to see Thomas Jane.
I never understand that situation. Why did they bring him back?
Well, it's not that they didn't bring him back. Is that they were making a sequel with him, and things just didn't work out. I think they decided to do. They decided to do a remake. They decided to do a reboot, and it's not. It was a semi reboot. It was technically a sequel. You know, it was set, 4 years after or 5 years after the events that happened in the first film. When they added a bunch of new characters. But I'm like, man, you couldn't put. I don't know exactly what the mechanics were, but if he had Tom Jane in that movie, this film probably would have made a lot of money.
I would say between $40 million or $50 million, the budget they had.
Yeah, I don't know. Any of you guys were a fan of the 1989 version?
I never saw the 1989 version, so I can't say.
I've only seen it once. It was okay.
Yeah, I think that was a film that went straight to video. They didn't even waste money putting that in theaters, but this was Dolph Lundgren, which is probably why they went for that's a little high. I'm like, Dolph Lundgren was probably the most awful. And I know there are some, Dolph Lundgren fans, but and this is just, in my opinion, it was just, he was technically, he was awful in that particular role. But I don't know if it was his fault. He's one of those situations where he falls into, okay, this is like, all right, think the storyline of the Yakuza, I think that was a great storyline. And Joe, if you get a chance to see it, I think you should. If you get a chance to, this storyline of the Yakuza and him trying to take them down. I think that storyline plays out a little well.
Okay.
I think it's just hard. I think that Lundgren is a hard sell though as the Punisher. What do you think, John?
And yeah, he was kind of in the role.
Yeah,
he didn't have much dialogue.
What'd you say?
I said he didn't have much dialogue in the film neither.
No, but I think that's how they wanted it. Just like when he was in Rocky, he became this iconic character in Rocky because he didn't really speak that much. He was just this big imposing figure.
Yeah.
So, if he dies, he dies. He's just.
Talking about Rocky. If he dies, he dies.
I don't know if this movie was supposed to get a sequel, Jonah Hex, and I hate to bring this movie up.
Oh my god. Oh. It's awful.
When they had Josh Brolin there, the whole movie was awful. I can tell one thing wrong in the movie, especially number one. You can tell the special effects were cheap.
I wonder what made them make that film.
I don't know.
Yeah, but the trailer looked like it was going to be rated R.
Yeah. You have to. Jonah Hex is one of those stories where you have to push the envelope down. You can push that a little bit, but then you have to be somewhere getting pushed.
Not to mention it was only like 80 to 70 minutes.
Yeah. How awful is that? Like, what?
Let's just not remember that movie again. Okay, which one? Okay, I'm going to bring this up. Which one's worse? Jonah Hex or Catwoman movie?
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Never seen Jonah Hex, and I've only seen a few clips of Catwoman.
If I had to pick one to watch, I think I'd say Jonah Hex because of Josh Brolin.
I think that's true. Brolin is a good actor. I just, that movie was not good for him.
No.
Even he come out like a year after the film and just said it was a total fuck up.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, my compooper.
You know the one movie he did. You know the one movie that Josh Brolin did pretty good.
What's that?
And I think he got Oscar. I think he got nominated for Oscar playing that role. You ever saw the movie called W?
No.
Yeah. He played.
He did a very good job playing as George Bush. In that movie. And he's a bit. I mean, Josh Brolin was a good actor. I mean, I liked him as young Jay and Men in Black 3.
Yeah,
I haven't seen half of that.
You said you what?
I've only seen half of Men in Black 3.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin, he did a pretty good job for the role.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do work on good stuff here. What do you guys think of? Do you think that? Because I know that I am secretly the Green Lantern film that came out with Ryan Reynolds. I was secretly wanting a sequel, just to hopefully that they did something a little better but also because of some of the characters were so strong in the film, I thought that they deserved a second chance. Especially that that cliffhanger they left at the end of the film where Sinestro gets the yellow ring. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I would like to see a sequel to it. I didn't hate it like everybody else. I mean, it was some good things, with some bad things about it. You know, the only thing the movie did lack of is more action. You know, when they did Man of Steel, they did it right. I always felt like they could have done that with Green Lantern and that. So, I mean, Ryan Reynolds, I liked him as Hal Jordan. He did a good job. Mark Strong did an amazing job as Sinestro. And I just felt like, they could pull more action in the film.
Yes.
Oh, it's funny.
Hey, what are you doing?
Green Lantern is maybe the only DC movie in recent time actually has a post-credit scene with no sequel.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, that I think it's funny that Green Lantern is the only DC movie in recent time
Yeah.
to really have a post-credit scene with no chance of a sequel.
Back in a minute, guys. Just gonna get a drink.
That's all right. Hey, Em, what are you doing, Em?
I feel like it's going to speak to the holes, hopefully. Okay, boys, let's move some furniture. Oh, I got it. Don't drop this. Oh, my goodness. Today, all the furniture's coming in at the Holt house.
It's like a zoo.
It is like a zoo, but I work good in zoo environments.
Silent.
Good furniture.
Got it?
Playroom?
Yeah. Right in the middle, underneath that fan. Big old couch right there. I want that big thing to move.
We're already
right here,
2 hours
right
in.
there. And then this canoe, we're gonna mount it to the wall.
You can fill it up with magazines and stuff.
Oh, that's it. I like it. It works. I'm excited because now it's becoming a home.
Hey, Luis,
Hey,
Yeah.
Just in time.
Clint walks in and
are you laying?
he's got the masterpiece with him.
Are you laying or sitting up?
My goodness, Clint.
I'm sitting down.
Because I don't know, it was weird. 'Cause a couple of times.
What?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Your assignment. Only my wife would take this and she wants me to put a table in the entire length of it.
What?
No. Jumping out of the...
Table of biblical proportions.
No, why did that just happen?
The river sitting on that table underneath the chandelier.
I was laying down earlier.
You exceeded our expectations as always. Good work, dude.
Way to go, Clint.
I only asked because at certain points it sounded like you were like way in another room somewhere talking.
Just putting it together.
What?
It sounds like you're in a whole nother room talking, like from a distance.
A little more to the right.
Sometimes, not now, but it did.
Oh shit.
I want it right here. Do you know why the
Now I'm
number
laying
7?
down.
Guess how many kids they have? 7 kids.
What about were you guys fans of the movie The Phantom?
96 movie?
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I heard it's a piece of shit.
I
heard
was
it
saying,
what?
I never.
I've heard it's a piece of shit.
I've seen it. It's alright.
It's not horrible. But
The good news is now we're just cleaning and I'm just tweaking. I just am hungry.
I think that people thought Billy Zane was going to break out in that film, and that didn't happen. So farewell, Mr. Zane. Farewell.
Is he still acting?
I wait to
Yeah, he is. Kinda, sorta.
Because now makes that that cleaned up, and it's no longer just this construction zone.
I just can't get
All of a
enough
sudden
of
starts
that.
making sense, and I feel like I get to create this really pretty space for the whole family.
I heard about the Phantom, never saw this, heard the bad things about it.
It is watchable. I do say give it a watch.
Yeah. One of the things, so Phantom, that was one of the films. That was one of those films that, actor didn't get a sequel. 1996 was a funny time in Hollywood. Anyway, it was this movie. It was, this is the year where there was a lot of. And years before that, like those straight-to-video action movies, and Billy Zane was one of those guys who had all those movies that were just always straight-to-video, which now has become Nicolas Cage's thing. Every day I walk out to, every time I go to the pharmacy or the supermarket, I see a red box and it's got a new movie by Nicolas Cage. And
Poor Nicolas Cage.
Like red box exclusive. Like what? I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, what happened, Nick?
What do you mean that?
Nicolas Cage kind of, Nicolas Cage is, he is this big, was this big time actor, but he's done like 20 like straight to video movies in the past 3 years. Every time I see, it's like I'm like, what? Every time I go and I see the red box, it says, this. I don't know if everyone has them, but the red box has these little. They have these. They're like rentable DVDs.
Guys, remember that I uploaded a video to Up Your Geek, the rant video?
Who are you asking?
Oh, that I uploaded the Blu-ray DVD rant video to the Up Your Geek channel? Yeah, that one has a little bit, because they uploaded that video on my personal account too. But, it has a little bit more views on the Up Your Geek YouTube channel. But, on the Up Your Geek YouTube channel, that video has 3 likes and 0 dislikes, right? And on my personal channel, it's the opposite. It has 3 dislikes and no likes. And on my YouTube channel, it has a comment by guess who?
You guys, I think that the number one reason why you picked this was the slots. I mean, before it was beautiful
Yes.
and kind of
Andre.
attraction. Yeah. Hopefully now we
Oh,
can have
Pat,
so it's not just
Yep.
and some other person.
I'm
Yeah,
not
that
sure.
person.
No one like bitch, go fuck yourself. I don't know.
You want to know something? That Andre guy, I've been watching his videos. He keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. He's like a freaking broken record.
Tell me about it.
Like, we know you don't like Nolan. I think you said like the 1,000th time.
I'm not sure if it's Andre, because this time I have 2 videos on the channel, but who knows? I mean, I don't really care. I'm just trying to...
You know what's so funny? He used to title his movies who he's going to do rants on. Now he doesn't no more because if anybody sees the title on his video, they're going to flag it or report it. Yeah.
Another character I like to bring up. Funny. Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry. We know who they had in common.
Yeah.
Catwoman.
So Michelle Pfeiffer starred as Selena Kyle in the '92 version of Batman Returns. You know, in that movie, she had that ripped leather outfit that, you know, both Bruce Wayne and the Penguin was chasing after her. You know, meow, meow. You know, almost immediately there were discussions about a potential Catwoman spinoff, even way back when. You know, unfortunately, Michelle Pfeiffer hated the suit. Yeah, you know, I don't know if you guys know that she actually hated being in that suit, particularly. You know, more so the Batman franchise was taken out of Tim Burton's hand than handed over to Joel Schumacher. And, you know, we all know the stories of, you know, that Batman, that third Batman just becoming a different film altogether because once Burton left, Michael Keaton left, and you didn't get Michelle Pfeiffer back. But they were going to do, you know, they were going to do actually a Catwoman film with Michelle Pfeiffer. But at the time, they didn't have anyone to replace it. By the time they got around to doing a spinoff, 12 years later, you know, both the actors and the character had changed. You know, Michelle Pfeiffer was a little, you know, way older. And the character of Catwoman kind of changed in the comics a little bit. So Halle Berry then, you know, got into the role and she became Patience Phillips.
Yeah, they made an awesome movie.
Yeah, and her character had little
I think that movie was the pornographic of Catwoman.
Yeah, I mean, her movie had little to do with the original character from DC. I mean, it was obviously one of those notorious flop films, and the movie got all these Golden Raspberry Awards and won for Worst Actress, Worst Director, Worst Picture. Like, it's funny that they give these types of awards out, but they gave those out for those. And then it was funny though, actually, you know, but Halle Berry is a good sport because she actually showed up to the Razzie Awards and accepted her award for Worst Actress.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, she did. It was all, even though she's a fantastic actress, but in that particular movie, this is how you can tell a movie when a movie is about the writing. What the writing is important. You know, you had an A-list celebrity, you had an A-list Oscar-winning actress in Halle Berry, who was now getting nominated as Worst Actress in a Film. This is not like she was out of her prime or anything like that. It was just that because the movie was so bad. But that's the writers. So, it's awful. And then,
it's so funny. Halle Berry was in Catwoman, and then everybody likes her. She changed her performance when X-Men came around, and...
yeah, she came. That was hysterical to me. That she was... It was hysterical that she was Storm. It's funny. I wonder how she probably shot the movie the same year because she was Storm for X-Men. And then 2 years later they had, or no, Catwoman was in 04. So you had, she was Storm in 2000. Then in 2003, she was Storm again. But very, very, very nosy. I'm sorry, I was talking about the Halle Berry. About Seth Rogen, I'm sorry, as the Green Hornet.
Even that was a bad movie.
I mean, it was a bad movie. I look at it as funny, hilarious, and really good time.
I did laugh at that movie. It was, if they were trying to put it in the superhero genre, it was bad. They were actually trying to make it a legit superhero film. It was just a superhero action comedy, which did have action. It did have some funny parts, but for what they were attempting to accomplish, they kind of fell off.
Yeah. For a comic book movie, it was pretty bad.
So we know when we know that we know Val Kilmer and George Clooney never returned to do Batman. Actually, George Clooney actually makes fun of himself.
And he apologizes.
Yeah, he apologizes for having played Batman.
By the way, guys, hey everyone, yeah, we're 2 hours 20 minutes in. Holy crap!
Yeah,
And I'm shocked actually that no one has actually gotten kicked out of the house.
You know, because when I joined, it's only 1 hour and 12 minutes right now on mine.
Yeah, we're still and look at that, our podcast is now officially longer than most superhero films. We're officially longer than the X-Men: The Last Stand.
And X-Men Origins too.
Oh, and wait a minute.
Fantastic Four.
And
Fantastic Four reboot.
wait a minute, in a couple of minutes, one more minute, and we'll be longer than
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel will be longer. Oh, we'll have crossed Josh Whedon's lucky number of 221, and we will go to 222 and be longer. So we have to go to 223, and then we will beat the Avengers in runtime.
Oh yeah.
And tell him to stick it.
You know, I feel sorry for Josh. The one thing I tell him that I feel sorry for Josh Whedon. He should done his Twitter. Oh, the hate he got from Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
That's, I don't. Let me see here. So let's talk about fans of Hancock.
Hancock, the movie?
The Will Smith movie. I love that movie.
That's a good movie.
I was gonna go see it in theaters, but then my brother said he was gonna take other people with him. And back then I was really anti-social and I didn't want to go.
So I think by the time 2008 came around, superhero films were like kind of in full swing, and you had Hollywood was just starting to riff on the formula, and they had, you know, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, Kick-Ass, which were like, you know, superhero comedies. And then, so one of the more interesting ones was Hancock. Now, Hancock was one of those comedy, you know, you like, where did this come from? What is this thing? Who is this character? It was like this mystery Superman type character. You know, Superman, he was, you know, this was an interesting film where the superhero was like reimagined as this alcoholic.
Yeah,
you know, alcoholic homeless man. What's that?
You guys seen the Amanda Show?
Like Amanda Bond?
Yeah, the Amanda Bynes, you know, her show from Nickelodeon back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like there was a skit of her being a lady superhero. That's what reminded me about Hancock, except Hancock was drunk.
What was it?
Oh, that Amanda Bynes had a little skit.
Yeah.
Her being a lazy superhero, which sounds like Hancock, but Hancock was drunk.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I remember her. She had like a variety show that spent off from all that.
Yeah, and like in the beginning of Hancock, the guy Hancock, he's all like,
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
But you had Will. Yeah, he was. Will Smith was. Will Smith was really. He played his character, alcoholic, homeless guy. He had this, I don't care attitude and didn't really care about people or what they thought. And then he kind of developed this hero persona. Now, he could fly. He had the super strength. He could shoot lasers from his eyes. But this film, the Hancock actually imagined, heroes in more of a real world context. Where someone has to worry about fixing all the damage and stuff that's kind of caused by them and superpowered men and women, But the film, it was a blockbuster when it came out. The movie, Hancock made $620 million worldwide.
620 million?
Yeah, $620 million.
What the for real?
Yeah.
What?
And it still wasn't enough for the studio to make a sequel.
No, that's like over half a billion.
What was the budget again?
For Hancock had it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have done. It shouldn't have done that. It did. It didn't. No, it didn't cost. I hope you didn't think I said it cost $620 million. It made that at the box office.
That isn't like that. Actually, jaw dropping.
You surprised that it made that much money?
Hell yeah! I thought not even Superman Returns made that much.
We all know how Superman Returns turned out. Boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why are you surprised by that?
It's not like some known superhero movie. I mean, like, I get that Will Smith has pull, he was an A-list actor, but it's
this here. First, Will Smith is top of the line actor.
Yeah,
Will Smith. Yeah, he's the A-list. I mean, this guy demands $20 million a movie. That's the average. Actors that do like sequels, they get options for more money and royalties and stuff like that. But a standard, like if you're going to do a one film, the most standards are like 20-25 mil. Now, for those big time celebrities. So then, but Hancock had this is the problem. Hancock had, not necessarily a problem. Hancock was made on $150 million. It made more than enough money to garner a sequel. They $150 million budget.
They got like a little bit more than 4 times what it cost to make.
Yeah. A film usually has to make 3 times its money to be considered successful. But now this made this made way over that amount. I mean, this is like, you know, with the for instance, Batman Begins. Now, Hancock was Batman Begins came out, right? And we can use that, and we can use Captain America. Batman Begins comes out. Batman Begins makes I think $370 million.
Yeah, or 71. We're right there. And it cost the same money to make a Hancock 150 million.
So that's all that made its whole run. They made a sequel. So Hancock makes Hancock's budget was 150.
Same as Begins.
Right. Their budget was 150. They made $624 million, over $624 million.
Yeah, that is
sequel. And it wasn't like Hancock was a good movie. It had this great dynamic of how this character was developed. You know, this wasn't your typical nerd guy who got powers, or someone who some unassuming person who just turned into this incredibly guy with super strength. This was a person who was born this way and was like this, and he was in hiding, or not really in hiding. I mean, he did stuff. It was funny because people knew who he was, and this movie focused on the realism of what kind of impact would it have to have a superpower being living amongst you. You know, there would be all this great damage, and then the things would have to be accounted for, and people would start having to try to find, ways to regulate something like that. But what they did with this film was incredible, and it showed. They did this movie on 150. They made domestically $227 million.
Hey guys,
Yes.
I'm gonna be heading. I'm gonna be heading out. I'm getting kind of tired. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
So they did. This did 227 million. Domestically, and foreign totals were $396 million. I mean, you got this was insane. So this is not like it came out. This was one of the those from the 4th of July weekend releases. Hancock's opening 3-day weekend was $62 million, and they made $62 million in 3 days. I mean, it was a successful opening. Batman Begins came out. Batman Begins opening was 50 million, I think, or no, 48 million.
Yeah.
You may feel, when that came out. So this is, Hancock comes out. It makes $62 million. That's an automatic success. It goes on to continue to make $227 million domestically and $396 million foreign and worldwide for $624 million total. And they say it wasn't enough to do a sequel.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
I like that movie too.
it was a great movie. There was nothing wrong with it. It was a great film. It had everything was right with the movie. There was a great formula. And then people were talking about like when's the next. They wanted to know when's the next Hancock coming out, but they never did it. I don't understand why. I don't, I really can't understand what happened with that particular film that they didn't, that they decided that it wasn't good enough for them to do a sequel for. I mean, you can't say you didn't make money. I mean, it did everything. It had the right formula. It got great fan reaction. Some great critical reaction. People went to see this movie. It had a record-breaking opening. Not really like big records because it opened on July 4th, but it was a big weekend, particularly for Will Smith, who his movie I think still holds the record. Independence Day, when he opened up. And this was another Will Smith movie that opened up during that time and smashed the box office open. The 62, this was an unknown movie, unknown character, not an unknown actor, but $62 million. This kind of solidified that, okay, Will Smith can still sell movie tickets. He can still sell movies. I mean, he proved that when he did I Am Legend.
What studio was behind Hancock?
Sony.
What studio? Sony and Columbia Pictures.
So like Sony. Same with Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It cost $200 million to make, and it made like $700 million, I think.
It made over that. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, and then they said it was a failure. But then comes Fox with the Fantastic Four reboot. It costs $120 million to make, and it doesn't even make that much money. And they're still, I'm not sure, like they said they were going to go.
Yeah, they're still talking about doing a sequel.
and Sony, they get their movies to like make a lot of money, and they're like, nope, it's a failure.
I don't understand. It's weird. I think it's wrong that they. I think it's wrong that they do that. This movie. First of all, it was a first time movie.
Yep.
It wasn't this wasn't a sequel and thing. This is a first time movie. It came out and made all kinds of crazy money. I mean, it made 600. I mean, this is insane. $624 million.
That is a lot.
You made all this money, and you're saying you can't do a sequel.
Kind of sad, to be honest.
I never knew about that.
Yeah, like that's over 4 times the budget. That's insane. You can't. So, and the reason they did that for Spider-Man was because I don't know who running like the Spider-Man. What the reason they did that to Spider-Man is because they expected they continued to go after the first one, because the first one made like $700 something million, I think, or just under. It was like 600 and something, 8 million. But when they did the sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, this film made over $700 million, on whatever budget. And you mean to tell me? Now, so he's there.
It's about 1,300 square feet.
Okay. And
it's listed for $310.
I guess it's kind of weird when you think about it. Like, why?
Maybe not quite as as much as the house we saw yesterday. I'm not loving the lack
Could
of
it-
porch here. I really wanted that.
Could it be really hard for Sony to get off their high horse? Like, it's awful. Oh, this movie made $700 and some odd $1 million. That's not enough money. But you're right. That's in my opinion, and I think that's really the truth of what happened, is that the film didn't, and they kind of alluded to it. They wanted that movie to crack $1 billion. They wanted, they wanted that movie to be that big. That's what because okay, so our first movie did almost 700 million. That's great because we spent this amount of money, so we made a lot of money back. So now your second movie makes a lot. It made a little bit more money. Relatively, your budget was a little higher, just a little bit though. But you still made all this money. So, oh no, you guys didn't make $1 billion. We're shutting you down. It's like, who's in charge at these boardrooms at Sony? And I guess that's why that now they're firing the wrong people. Every time something fails, I'm like, no. You need to fire the idiot that makes the decision on rebooting series.
Yeah.
Or stopping, okay, we're not going to... Sony was so excited about Spider-Man, they went and put on this whole 4-year plan. They chose and named all their release dates. They brought people over to do like the so you can do the cultural maps and stuff. I'm like, I feel like Sony, like when they have their board meetings, I think it's them. On one end of the table, it's probably Big Bird. On the other end of the table, it's probably Bert and Ernie. When they meet, like, who's making these decisions?
Sure.
It's like, come on, man. You've got to do something better than that. Your fans deserve better than that.
That's why Sony was hacked.
Yeah, right. Yeah, when they were hacked, they were like, they changed the numbers. Someone had a board meeting without the actual board.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Sony just got affected. What more? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. You keep talking about.
You do? Damn. But yes.
So I think we have officially surpassed.
Watchmen.
I don't know. Watchmen almost. I think Watchmen.
Yeah, the theatrical cut.
Did we? Watchmen, I think, wasn't Watchmen 2 hours and 45 minutes?
Yeah, the theatrical cut. Director's cut is like 3 hours long or something. 3 hours 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
The ultimate cut is a bit longer than that.
It was a long movie, man. So, we are we? Do you want to finish here?
Yeah, it's getting long,
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's already, I know it's wicked late on my end, because you guys are in those stupid time zones over there.
Where I live, it doesn't even change.
Yeah, you guys are, you're all early. I'm wicked late, and John, I don't know when you sleep, John, but...
It's currently almost 5:30 p.m. over here.
Go to hell. Hey, it's 5 p.m. Look at that. It's almost 1:30 in the morning over here.
It's almost 11:30 over
Yeah,
here.
and my 1-year-old daughter is going to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to have
So
to.
if like anyone like listen to the whole thing, we salute you.
Right, thank you. Yeah,
I know.
make sure you.
I know one person who might.
So yeah, make sure you do an edit.
Edit.
Yeah, you want to do the unrated director's cut.
Hell no, I'm not gonna do that, man. I'm gonna release the full version.
What?
I'm gonna release the full, the ultimate uncut, extended, unrated
No,
edition.
you've got to cut.
I see what you did there, Louise.
The ultimate uncut, extended director's edition, special anniversary value of the, yeah.
Available in stores Tuesday.
Yep.
Coming soon, the ultimate cut.
Yep.
Ultimate,
And get your digital copy.
Oh god.
alternate ending.
Yeah, with 16 alternate endings. Yeah.
So you did see my rant video. Did you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I see everything. I see all and I know all.
Of course you do.
I am the all-knowing.
Yes, you are 911.
It's listed at 310. Want to room in the budget for renovation?
I am the all-knowing
Yes. All of the night here.
Mr. Cain.
2 bedrooms. We were looking for 3.
I have to. Like, if I end the call, the recording finished and stopped.
I can end the call, I think.
I mean, like, if I end the call, if I do.
Ah.
Yeah. So when I end the call, it's gonna start recording.
Okay.
Alright.
So we'll say our goodbyes right now.
But we want to be a
Alright.
project and we want to put our stamp on something, so I could really see myself in
Alright,
an
see ya.
actual house.
Bye.
This is Mr. Cain signing off.
Ba-boom. Bye. And hang up.